Stacey Washington is the co-chair of the Project 21 National Advisory Board and also the host of Stacey on the Right. She joins me now to discuss who is Miss Brown Jackson. Stacey, thanks so much for coming on the program. I find a lot of things interesting here. Her Harvard connection. We know, of course, that there's going to be a case headed to the Supreme Court about Asians gaining entry to Harvard and other elite schools. So I would think there's conflict of interest on that case. Her background being a journalist or reporter over at Time, and then her most recent appointment to the D.C. Circuit Court, and then, oh, now, boom, let's bump her up to the Supreme Court. So I'm sure you guys over at Project 21 did way more digging than I had the opportunity to do over the weekend because everybody's been focused on the war. What can you fill us in on this lady who may become the next Supreme Court justice?
Well, so Dan, I've been steeling myself. I expect a rigorous advise and consent confirmation process. I expect the Republicans to do their due diligence with her and to ask her the questions that are important so that we can have an understanding of her jurisprudence. But I also understand the layout of the Senate right now is 50+1. Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States. She's a tiebreaker. So I expect Ms. Jones to become Justice Jones. That's going to happen. So with that understanding, I really have been looking at her most important positions, and one of those is that she ruled against President Trump when he was attempting to defund Planned Parenthood. Now, this is something that she could be more neutral on as a Black woman, since Black women represent the largest share of abortions in this country, and also since it has had the most deleterious effect on our actual population. We've lost 16 million Black babies to abortion since the passage of Roe v. Wade from a incorrect ruling at the Supreme Court. But she does not hold that position. She actually is a stalwart supporter of abortion, which is one of the reasons why Joe Biden found her to be a good candidate for them. So what can I say about her? She has an interesting backstory. She's married to a surgeon. She went to Harvard twice and graduated. She's an American success story. But as far as ideology is concerned, she is diametrically opposed to everything that I believe in. She's opposed to the Republican Party platform. But as a Democrat, she believes in a kind of a living, breathing constitution from what we understand, because as you pointed out, Dan, she's been only on that appellate court in D.C. for such a short period of time. Yeah. I think only 2 opinions, so we don't have as much to look at, but she's a leftist. She'll do what the Democrats want, and that's why I oppose her.
Yeah, weren't there other, because I mean, he made it very apparent he was going to pick a person of color and most likely a female months ago. Actually, I think during the campaign he did this, so over a year ago. Was this the best choice, though? Weren't there other Black women that have sat on the bench longer at that higher federal level that have more experience? I mean, like you just pointed out, she just got bumped up a few months ago.
So, Dan, Democrats never have a problem with that, right? So they play the long game. And if you remember back, we got a president out of someone who'd only been in the Senate a very short period of time, who was an activist, really, out of Chicago, Barack Obama. So they don't have a problem with putting someone up as long as that person is ideologically where they want them to be. I think they're actually looking at her age. She's 51. She could be on that court for 30 years. So that's what they're looking at. She could be the one shaping opinion. She could be the Supreme Court justice, not just a justice, but the head justice on the Supreme Court once the others begin to retire, because we do have kind of an aged court right now. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. They're bringing her in to counter our Amy Coney Barrett.
Well, I love the point, too. The mainstream media has to point out she's the first ever. They do throw in female, but they're making the big thing about African-American because they want to forget. Excuse me, isn't there a justice named Clarence Thomas? Oh, that's right. He's conservative. We don't like him on the left.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't give him any credit, Dan. Come on, what are you doing? You can't give Black conservatives any credit. We were just joking around this morning with our college-age daughter, my husband and I, talking about how it's kind of difficult to be a Black conservative. And we came up with the idea that Black conservatives are like Ukraine, constantly in the news, standing alone, fighting, sometimes against both sides. But I tell you this, whether or not she is ideologically in line with what I believe, I do believe in this country that we can have a wider range of opinions on the Supreme Court. And if she is nominated and confirmed, I'll be happy to see her go there and sit on that court, knowing that she's joining the minority. Right now, we have a conservative court, although Justice Roberts often disappoints. He is still a conservative-leaning justice. So it's 6-3. This is a 1-to-1 replacement, and it doesn't change the makeup of the court. And I'm holding on to that as we go through this confirmation process. Yeah. But I encourage the Republicans, don't ease up on her because she's the first Black woman, or because she's in Harvard, or because she
don't shy away from it.
hammer her,
Yep.
lay into her women's opinion. She is a person of great intellect. She is highly esteemed in this country as she sits on an appellate court, and she is equipped for this moment. She wouldn't have accepted the nomination if she wasn't. And so I would expect every Republican to come at her with knives sharpened for a rigorous confirmation process. Do not go easy on her because she's a Black woman. She would not expect you to do that, and to do so would be an insult.
Stacey Washington, keeping it real from Project 21 on the National Advisory Board. Also the show on SiriusXM. You can find it, Stacey on the Right. Thank you so much for your insight. Take care.
Thanks, Dan.